Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the workshop. It is fantastic to have you here as ever because we're working on a cavalry saber and we need to learn a lot about bronze casting. At the end of the last episode, episode 7, definitely due to rushing and trying to get it done fast.
Grab that real quick.
We made a big old failure. The problem probably was that we hadn't burnt out the wax fully. That's on us. We were trying to get it done in the day, and this thing had been only finished up pretty late in the day anyway, so it was silly. We did that cast like 9 in the evening. Not good. We're going to do a better job now, because it is first thing in the morning. We have a new wax test piece with different surface finishes all ready to go. We're going to mix up some investment, and while we do it, we're going to thank today's sponsor, which is Squarespace. Squarespace is the online website building tool that makes it phenomenally easy to build your own website. Even if you don't have any coding experience, you can build yourself a very nice website using Squarespace. So make sure that you go to the link in the description, squarespace.com/forge. Use code FORGE at checkout. You're going to get yourself a free trial, and then when you sign up at the end, you're going to get 10% off your first purchase with Squarespace. So check them out. We are going to keep mixing. Fun tidbit, fluid ounces and ounces of water are different. Fluid ounces are 1/16 of a pint. God, thank goodness for these fantastically helpful measurement systems, but thankfully a pint is 1.04 pounds. So, pint of water, 1.04 pounds, close enough. We're going to use actual weighed ounces of water to get us to the amount of water that we need in our mixing bowl. We've also made ourselves up a much smaller flask. The flask is what you pour the investment in and suspend the wax in. We made up a much smaller one. It's going to be able to get a much more even heat as we do the burnout over a much longer period of time. How many pounds do we need?
0.93.
We've got to get 0.93 pounds with ounces. Maths. 14.88 ounces. All right, let's go. Let's get our respirators.
There we go.
So here we go. That'll do. All right, what's next?
I'm going to keep on working on that sword guard, doing the design, the layout for the different floral scrolls that we're going to be doing in the cutout.
So what have you been up to over here, Will?
Well, we got some fantastic scroll design books in. So I've been practicing drawing scrolls, I've been practicing drawing letters and banners, and I've been working on the guard design. Now this is a lot different than the first design that we had come up with. It's a lot more open and flowy, and we have the scrolls flowing over the original cutout pattern, so it should look pretty dang nice. Gonna do a couple more iterations and fill out the rest of this.
Oh yeah, and there are lots of iterations with all of this, right?
Exactly.
I mean, the whole aim is to be able to make as many attempts of a design so that we can get as far ahead in the design as possible. You know, there's been lots of kind of like back and forth and thought and conversation behind the scenes of what is it that we're going to do on this thing? How are we going to make it look good? Did you end up using the photocopier trick on this one?
No, I did not, because it wasn't working.
Oh, you didn't like it? Well, we made some photocopies of a cardboard cutout.
The problem that I had was that I couldn't erase those lines.
Oh, okay. So when you wanted to change this stuff,
yeah,
it just didn't look right.
So I ended up just taking the original and tracing it onto a piece of paper. That way I had a lot more control over it.
Yeah, fresh out of the 1700s.
Exactly.
You barbarian. But, I mean, these designs are looking great.
It's actually fresh out of the 1800s, the 1860s to be exact.
Well said, Will. Look at how beautiful that drawing is. You have some incredible talent with a pencil. That's very, very nice. How's that wax melt out going, by the way? Toaster oven's outside?
It is outside. It's been melting out for an hour and 45 minutes. I think we've still got some wax left in there last time I checked.
So, I think we're probably pretty close to firing up the forge and slowly ramping it up.
Did we ever introduce that we were doing a meltdown?
I don't think we did. Well, we put the wax thing in an oven while Will was doing this and while I was running errands. And so consider this a little out-of-order introduction to the fact that we are indeed melting out the wax in our oven. And the oven is turned off. Well, better fire up the forge. All right, so we're going to stuff it into the forge and do this time a very slow burnout.
So we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of casting. It's the replacement piece for the test piece that we messed up last night. We did just a couple different finishes on it so we can kind of see exactly what's going on there. Make sure that we're going to get a nice piece when we do the actual guard itself. Okay, so let the investment cool down a bit. It's at a nice temperature now. Got my bucket of water. We quench it out here because it smells horrible. Moment of truth, here we go. It's trapped in there. Oh, ho, ho. That looks nice. That's like perfect. How did we do so poorly last time? That is spot on, exactly what we made. This gives me a lot more confidence for when we do the guard. So there it is, a little bit better view. Just wow.
So it's the next morning. I went ahead and polished this up with a couple Scotch-Brite pads on the Fordham rotary tool, and you can see the difference between just the simple Scotch-Brite and then the rough cast. It's a pretty huge difference, honestly. The casting didn't come out quite how we wanted, just because you can't tell the difference between a 220 grit finish and a 1000 grit finish, which that's a big difference. There's just pock marks covering up all that sort of stuff, so that's too bad. Hopefully soon we will have a vacuum chamber. A certain British person in this shop is making a video on that right now, which is going to be super duper handy for casting stuff. So with the vacuum chamber, the hope is that we won't get so many pock marks and stuff, and we'll be able to get a finer level of detail in our casted pieces, which should be very handy for such a complicated piece like that guard. So the plan this morning is to make a cookie cutter shape of the guard. Gonna bend some sheet metal into this shape so that we can pour wax into it and save a little bit of time rather than trying to carve the entire guard out of blocks. We can pour it into this mold and hopefully save some time in the process of carving it down to where we want it. So we've got that little piece, and by little piece I mean massive blob of wax poured into the mold, and while that's cooling down, I'm gonna go ahead and carve out another little test piece just so we can see how it works with the vacuum chamber with the wax casting.
I've been over there working on building a vacuum chamber. It's gonna be a cool episode, so hang tight for that. And this is the first time that I'm seeing this in person. It looks like a Hulk fist.
That's the idea.
Yep.
It gives the sword extra strength.
For punching with.
For punching.
That's what the guard is for, right?
Yes.
This is insane. I mean, oh my goodness, to melt this much wax. This was all of the green wax that we had, so.
Which was an awful lot. It was like, yeah, that thing weighs like 3 pounds.
That's insane. It's so much wax. And the most exciting part is that this iteration of the design on this thing, have a look at that. That is just gorgeous. This is gonna be one awesome piece. It's also gonna be extremely challenging. It's gonna be a brain pickle to make work.
I'll start off with the rough shape of it and get it to this profile when you wrap it over. And then from there, I think it's going to be a lot easier to figure out where exactly everything wants to be.
Nice. So what are the tools that you're going to be using
Lots
right now?
of files and burrs and a handsaw.
Well, that sounds like this is going to be quite a confusing time. I'm going to wish you the best of luck. I'm going to keep making the vacuum chamber so that hopefully we've got a way to properly cast this thing when all is said and done.
Sounds good.
This is starting to take shape. This is starting to look like a D-guard for a Civil War era cavalry saber. Oh my goodness, that looks really, really good. What's going on? How's it going?
So it started off this morning as a couple blocks of wax. We made that horrendous little cookie cutter form for it, and not 2 hours ago this thing was just this lumpy block of ugh. And through a lot of filing, we've got it to kind of the outside dimension that we want, and I've got the line scribed for where we're going to cut it down to tomorrow, which is very exciting because at that point it's going to look shagadelic, baby.
Just to forebode you for how the vacuum chamber project is going, not going so well, porosity is the one word that I'm going to let you know about right about now. We're going to end out today's video. We're going to be ending this out right now, and I want to thank today's sponsor, which has been Squarespace. It's the online website building platform that makes it phenomenally easy. You've done it. You've used Squarespace.
And I'm horrible at computers. Really, it's embarrassing how bad I am. And I did my own site, and it looks pretty good.
It doesn't take any coding experience. You don't have to be the best at computers. You can make a beautiful website with Squarespace. It's designed for creatives. It's designed for people like us who like building things, who like making things. It's designed for everybody from a photographer through to a blacksmith to be able to showcase your work in the best light possible and be able to have control over how you're showing it. What's incredibly important with your websites today in the modern age is that they look good on mobile. It's so important that your website looks great on a phone. And look how cool this is. I have a video playing on my website. It's awesome. So make sure that you go to squarespace.com/forge so that you can start your free trial today. You can start building that website, you can start showcasing your work, have that home for what it is that you do. And of course, if you like it after the trial and you want to purchase a subscription to Squarespace, you're going to get 10% off when you use code FORGE. Thank you, Squarespace, for sponsoring this episode. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Will, for taking the helm on this episode. While I've been making this vacuum chamber, I can't wait to see you guys on the next one. Subscribe if you're new. We're going to be seeing you very shortly. Bye-bye.